then if you're
Sounds good.
all right. All right. Well, we have a special guest with us tonight. His name's John Marshall. Welcome, John, to the show. How you doing?
Good. How you guys doing?
We're excited to have you, man. Super
Yeah,
excited. Been chatting with you for a while on Facebook, which I know is an old social media platform, but hey, I enjoy it. There's a lot of
it's
cool
just not
pages on there.
MySpace.
Right. It's not MySpace. And Tom's probably, I don't know, Tom's probably on Facebook. Who knows?
He
But
probably is.
no, I think I found you. This is Jaron, by the way. I think I found you on it was a page. I think it was your page, right? Is that
Okay.
the Cache Valley Bigfoot Facebook page? We're gonna talk about that. But I remember like you commenting on some of my posts on there, and then we just started chatting it up, and um, it's just one of those things. And we kind of became friends because I realized you were here, at least partially here in Utah.
Mhm.
And I know are you down in Jackson Hole right now though?
Yeah, we're in Jackson now. It was Texas for the past 2 years, but now we're in Jackson.
Oh man, I'm jealous. I love that area out there. It's so pretty. It's
Oh, it's
expensive,
great.
but pretty though. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's expensive, but I'm not one of those rich people type. I got a good deal. I work for the city, and
Oh,
they have housing for their employees
nice.
at a amazing discount.
That's
So
amazing score. See, I'm
yeah,
doing the same thing. I work in an apartment business, right? And I manage an apartment community, and I'm moving right now to get a discount as well. So it's gonna save me like $400 or something. So
oh yeah, yeah, it saves a lot.
anywhere you can get it, So
Yep.
so since you were in Texas, I don't know if you know the guys from Paranormal Roundtable that are out there in Texas that do a kind of a podcast like we do. They
Um,
should listen to them. If
I have,
not, they got some crazy stuff on their shows. I just want to plug them because they got some cool stuff.
yeah, I went out with a guy. His name's Matt, and we went did a investigation in April or March, and because around our area there were some cattle mutilations
Ooh,
that were fresh, like happened, like, and they were in the news about it. And yeah, so we went out there and did an investigation. We saw some weird lights in the sky, heard some weird sounds, and so yeah, it was kind of fun. It was
did you,
cool.
did you see a cow mutilation yourself? Like, did you?
No, no, the farmer wouldn't let him on the land, but he talked to people who knew it and talked to one of the cops who saw it. And there
Gotcha.
was no blood. It was like precisely, lasered. Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that? Because let me just tell you my premise. And it's from a lot of research recently, like with the Skinwalker Ranch thing, and all
Yeah.
these we're seeing everywhere like that. Um, the thought is right, and this is I can't remember where I heard this from, but it really makes sense. Oh, it was from L.A. Marzulli. Do you know who he is?
I've heard of the name.
So he was on, I think he was on the Confessionals podcast with Tony Merkel,
Okay.
and they were talking about this whole subject, cow mutilations. You'll have to look at that episode, but it really like opened my eyes to it. It was basically saying that a lot of these women get like pregnated from alien beings. I know you've heard of those stories, I'm sure before. And then they go to the doctor, and then when they go to the doctor, it's at the first trimester, so the first 2 or 3 month period. Um, they go for that second checkup, right? And most of the time, I would say 80 to 100% of the time, their baby is not there all of a sudden. And then they don't know what happened. And then they just say, oh, you might have just had a false pregnancy. You might have just had a miscarriage. Might have had this and this and that. But then they have doctors that are like, no, I remember she was pregnant. I remember I talked with her and she was pregnant. And the reason I'm saying all this is uh, the cows have like that. What's it called? Is it bromine? No, it's a blood related. I think you're right. Embryonic sac that
Okay.
cows. So what the theory is that L.A. Marzulli brought up was that they're taking people and trying to recreate life. So they're taking these artificially inseminated babies, taking them out of the womb of the mom, and then they're using the cow uh, portions of the cow to make a false embryonic
Oh,
sac to
oh
raise the
wow.
baby in the rest of the way. Wow.
Wow.
And then they have these hybrids that live up there, and then they come and visit. And you've probably heard these stories where these hybrid alien babies are coming to visit the moms or the dads that are here on Earth, and they say they look like humans but with bigger eyes and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm like, that makes a lot of sense. If they're taking all the blood and they're trying to just artificially seminate because they can't, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I don't know. What's your theory on that?
No, that's the first I've heard of that theory. That's amazing. There's something to it if people, like if there's all that, doctors and females who've been pregnant. Yeah,
Yeah.
I can see that happening.
I just don't know why else they'd be doing it. So I'm like, wow. But then they take the eyes and they take the other weird things that don't make a lot of sense on a cow that wouldn't really matter to an embryonic sac, you would think. You know what I mean? So I'm
Yeah.
not sure, but it's a cool theory because we've always wondered like how to connect aliens with this cow mutilation and why. And then the other theory was when they bring the cow back, they drop it back off at the ranch that they took it from. When if it's if aliens were just trying to be friendly, they would just you would think they would just take it and drop it off in the sea or something where nobody sees it because they.
Yeah.
But why are they putting it back there? It's like almost like a fear tactic to try to say, hey, if you cross us, we can do the same thing to you and your family. You know what I mean, or something. I don't know.
Yeah. So what are they thinking of Skinwalker Ranch? What are they saying about that one they had on their show a few years ago?
I don't know too much about what they're saying about it. They are so we actually are talking to a guy named Ryan, coincidentally, who actually owns a property right next door to Skinwalker Ranch. It's like
Mhm.
literally lining the same property line. And his ranch is called Space Wolf Research Ranch.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if you've heard about that, but he bought the property a few years ago, and he's been having all the same stuff going on at his property that Skinwalker Ranch gets. And um, we're going to talk with him. So we'll have to follow up with you because he's got a Yeah, we'll let bunch you of know. cattle mutilations over there. I mean, that's like the most intriguing area right now. It's like obviously now in Miami, we'll have to get into that, and Peru now we have to get into that. But Utah, we've been the focal point for a while. It's been kind of cool. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see what they say. I will say we went down there during Phenomicon in 2022, I think it was, and we went this last year as well. But in 2022, we met Brent from Paranormal Portal podcast. He's a kind of
Okay.
a mentor of ours, and we became friends and stuff. But when we were driving back, we went to the Skinwalker Ranch. We're like, let's just go find it. And so we went down there, and I don't know the feeling you get when you're right by the gate, when you're just in that area. I mean, there's literally Navajo people right next to it, like in these trailers and stuff, and just living on the land. And but you'll see like weird. There was weird, like hairy scat all around that place. That was big scat, so it was like super weird. And then we would see like I don't know, just the feel in the air. Just it made you feel strange. I don't even know how to describe it. Like when you're, it's like when everything goes quiet. Like those Bigfoot sightings when everything just goes quiet. That's
Yep.
what I felt at Skinwalker Ranch. It was like there was a predator somewhere. It had that feeling. So yeah, it was weird. It was a weird thing.
I'd love to go there. I would love it.
We'll have to have you come out one of these days. We actually own property in Duchesne, which is real close to Skinwalker Ranch, and so
Okay.
yeah, you're invited anytime, at least to our property. It's
Yeah,
got
sweet.
a lot of the same
I'm
stuff.
down.
Yeah, we did a ghost hunt and a UFO sky view type UFO video with Brent. We brought him onto our land, and we caught some really cool UFOs, and then we caught some really cool EVPs, and we feel that land is just weird. It's got a weird vibe everywhere. Like you could be 40 miles from where the crow flies to Skinwalker Ranch, or you could be 80 miles. It just has that whole area just has something going on.
Mhm.
I don't know if it's quartz underneath the land. I don't know what it is. There's just a weird supercharged vibe to it. And even Brent said when he was there, we were looking at the mesa across the way, and
Uh-huh.
I don't know if you've seen on Skinwalker Ranch. They're like, "Look, y'all, the mountains are shining. It's got that white light shining."
Yeah.
And
Yep.
it was the same thing for us on our mesa there. There was like a bright light on the whole,
Wow.
like it was shining, like it was energized. You know what I mean? It was super,
Uh-huh.
and that was at night. So
And that's courts can do that.
yeah,
So
yeah,
wow.
yeah.
Did you
So
meet
what's
yeah.
up?
I had a friend who was at that conference this year. Did you meet Melissa Morgan?
Doesn't ring a bell. We
She does Destination Mysteries podcast. She's on another podcast. She's a doctor.
did you have a booth?
A what? I don't
Yep.
think she did. I don't think she did.
We didn't talk to a
But
lot of like bystander people. We were so in awe. The reason we were in awe is we saw what's his name, Travis Walton.
Travis Walton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were just looking at him in awe, like because it's just strange seeing him off of Joe Rogan's podcast and everybody else. This guy's talking, and we actually have him on our intro on our podcast too. And just seeing him in person was so weird. It was just we were just staring, and we were both like, "Should we talk to him?" But you could just see all these people around him. Like, what did the skin look like on the gray aliens? What did the? And he's just looking down, and I'm like, oh, I don't know if we should.
I bet it gets bombarded.
I don't want to bug him. Yeah, it was just one of those things. Yeah, and he's getting up there in age and stuff, and like, I don't know, but it's just weird when you look at someone who's been in close vicinity and actually had an interaction with whatever
Mhm.
these things are, right? And up close and personal in a really terrifying way. So it's kind of like I'm almost scared to look into his eyes, even because when people go through these traumas and stuff, it's like I'm not worthy. I've never been there. I've never been through it. And so it was kind of nerve wracking. Have you followed the Travis Walton story? Like, have you
Oh
watched it?
yeah, I love Fire in the Sky.
It's
That's a
funny.
great.
What's funny is I'd never seen it, but I've
Oh
watched
really?
so many interviews. I've looked at his story. I've read a lot of excerpts. I've, obviously done a lot of research on him, and I didn't even know they were connected at first. That he was the Fire in the Sky guy. I had no idea.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a crazy story, man. That's weird. Just in the middle of nowhere, like him and his wasn't it a couple buddies too, or was it just him? No, I think he was. I mean,
They were all logging.
yeah,
It was a logging group,
yep.
and yeah,
I like
it,
how he's
it's,
like when he was in the spaceship, how he's like, I pushed them over rather easily, and they were little creatures, and I was able to like get up, and I'm like, that's crazy. It's like I don't know. I never know what you'd be thinking in that moment. How you'd be feeling. It's crazy.
yeah. I don't know how I feel with aliens. You know, but
Let's
the
let me
Bigfoot was different. So
Let's get into that. Let me ask you, what are your thoughts on aliens? Because I know you said you had some ghost experiences and some UFO experiences, but what are your thoughts? Because I'm pretty vocal on my thoughts of what aliens are, and I mean, it's starting to go in the mainstream now, where people are sort of feeling the way I feel about it a little bit more. So you probably know what I'm thinking, but what are your thoughts like as far as aliens go? Like, do you think they
I
originate from outer space? Like, what are your
I
thoughts?
think, oh yeah, I think they're from space. You know, people think we're the only ones in the universe. That's not going to happen. We're not. Um, Egypt, like, if you listen to any of the historians about Egypt, what we were taught in school was completely not true. It's so much older than it is. We don't know how it was built. They've tried all these things, to like, try to build a pyramid. They can't do it, and it's just amazing. Like all the pyramids too, all over the world, South America, India, you know, you know, down in Mexico. I mean, maybe Alaska has one, and Antarctica might have one. It's
Even
just
the face
crazy.
of the moon,
So,
right? There's supposedly one on the moon. I've seen pictures of it. It looks like a
well,
man.
there's that big tower on the moon.
Yeah.
What's that? No one knows what it is, or they're not telling us. I
Yeah, and
mean,
have you seen those recent videos where it's like somebody zoomed in on a telescope and you could see that UFO kind of coming out of the
yeah,
coming through?
yeah,
I'm like, wow,
yeah,
that's insane. Yeah.
yeah.
These pyramids go back to Nikola Tesla. Sorry to interrupt you, but go back to Nikola Tesla with the energy, communication is what they think it might be, is like a communication zone, right? That would somehow take in frequencies and stuff so they could actually communicate between pyramids or something.
yeah, I can see that. Yeah, he was so above his time, like so far advanced. It's just sad what happened to him at the end, getting all the stuff stolen by Thomas Edison
Yeah.
and all that. It's kind of sad about that. But yeah, because if you listen to all the historians in Egypt too, there were no tombs found in the pyramids. That's what people assume they were found in the pyramids. They weren't. There's been nothing found in the pyramids that were bodies or mummies. It was just all pretty much just shafts of empty space
So do you
with
think
some
these
hieroglyphics and stuff.
do you think these temples are worship spaces for these alien Anunnakis, or do you think it's like do you think it's a charging station or a landing? Because it's
I
weird.
think it's a charging station because if you look at we love going to Vegas and we love Luxor, and that's just they built it kind of how the pyramids were described back then. They had a light source on top and a beam that shot up.
And
That's
I
how
think
Luxor does it.
I think the
Yeah,
whole top piece was like wasn't it like gold or
yeah,
kind of solid gold or some kind of metal conductor? Yeah, exactly.
yeah. And the
So
pyramids were actually white, you
yeah.
know, not like stone, but they had like a smooth face on them. They think they found some weird stuff on it. But yeah, I mean, I was in Vegas that year. Let's see, when was it? Let's see, I turned 40. 20, goodness. It was a while ago. But 17 in 2000, yeah, 2017. So we were in Vegas and I was there that night when that UFO was sighted over Luxor.
Oh wow. Oh wow.
There was like a red sphere that someone filmed over Luxor,
Well,
and it
yeah.
was right in the beam. It's in the beam light.
And wow. Yeah, right at that spot. Then it was like,
Yeah,
oh, is this one of our pyramids? Never mind. Maybe it
yeah.
isn't.
Who
So,
knows? Yeah, but
yeah.
it was crazy.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
and
I don't know. I know
mentioning
they're. I
Vegas.
think they're an advanced. They're advanced civilization. I think what you said is right. They probably have. We have hybrids of humans and them and stuff like that. I think you're right on.
Yeah, I think, and I've heard like just obviously doing this longer periods of time, and then the deeper you go into the abyss, the crazier it gets, right? And obviously we still don't know, and we'll probably never know, but at least we can theorize. And I don't know, it's just the hybrid thing's weird because I swear I've seen people walking around and they just look off a little bit, but
Mhm.
they're big eyes, pretty girl maybe, but she's like 6'1" or 6'2" or something, 6'4". I'm like, damn, this girl is tall. Is this what's going on here? And and then like big eyes, and then they just kind of have a weird vibe to them and stuff. And I see that from certain guys that I see too. And I don't know, maybe they're just walking among us a little bit and we don't even know. And it's a
Yeah,
weird
I
thing to
can see that.
theorize. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that.
Um, as far as like because obviously there's been, and I don't know if you let's I mean, we're still talking about aliens, so we might as well go into the Miami stuff. Yeah, what are your thoughts on that? Go into it with us. This is crazy.
I don't. I think there's something to it when 300 cops show up and they turn off power to 60,000 people and turn off all the radio and FM, all the frequencies. Yeah, that's not for a kid sliding off fireworks
No, or kids with sticks. That was like
or
the
kids
other thing.
fighting. Yeah, I
And
think they. I
the
think at
kids
first they said there was like 4 or 5 kids fighting. That's
then it
it.
turned to 50 right after.
Yeah,
But the weird thing too, John, is they said that the fighting thing was a call they had the day before. So somebody's getting it mixed up. Somebody's saying it's one exact situation when it was literally two different calls. So I do think that yeah, they're trying to cover it up like they always do. They're so good at doing this, right? Um, but I will say, like, really quick, I have somebody that's from that I used to work with that lives in Miami, a friend of mine, and her name's Lindsay. And I was asking her about it, and she's like, "Yeah, I live right by there." And she's like, "It was so scary, like literally just siren after siren after siren for all night." And she's like, and now I'm getting the chills because she's like, I didn't see it, but I've been to that mall so many times and it's got a weird vibe to it. And then all these people are saying it, and she's like that they've seen these big creatures that are coming in and out of, almost like glitching in and out of dimension is what it looked
yeah.
like. And she's like, I believe it because the people that are saying it seem so credible, and there's a few people that, and she's like, I was here, so it just doesn't seem right. Like everything that we've had that's like a threat, because Miami's a bigger city. There's a lot more problems than we probably have here in Salt Lake. And she's like, there's a lot of sirens and helicopters going on, but this one was something different. Like it was really scary. Like it felt like the end of the world or something.
Ah.
So coming from somebody over there, that's pretty cool. And she's not even like a huge researcher into this stuff. She just kind of lives a life, like
So did her power go out too?
her
Was her
power
power
went out.
out?
Yeah, her power went out. She said her and her sister, they live together, and her sister was like
Yeah.
out because they have a dog and they couldn't find their dog, and it went down into one of the cupboards. It's a Frenchie, so it's like a little snorting dog. But but yeah, so they were freaked out, and it didn't come back on for about 4.5 hours, I think it was, is what she
Wow.
said. So I've been asking her. I've been trying to get research from it, but
Yeah, I just don't know why there's not more videos. You know,
yeah, I
I
mean,
don't know why there's not more videos from people who were there. Did they somehow erase them all from their phones?
so
Somebody.
one of the guys, I don't know if you saw the video, we actually posted it. So if you go to our Instagram page, anybody who's listening, we posted the video. It was just a TikTok video that the guy shared, and he was the one of the witnesses that was there, and
Mhm.
he was telling his whole story. And he said, well, the first thing he said was it relates a lot to Bigfoot, which we're going to get into plenty of Bigfoot. But a lot of people when they see these things, Bigfoot or otherwise, it's kind of the last thing you think of is to pull out your phone, and
Yeah,
if you're in a terrified state. And so that's what he said. They just were scared and I mean, if you see like a 9 to 12 foot creature just kind of morph into reality, and it's like looking around, like walking, and all these cops are showing up, and yeah, I mean, you might bring out your phone, and if you do, I would think that there's a few cops. The reason there's so many of them is probably there's a few groups that are like, "Don't film this. We don't know what this is yet. Don't film this. Give me your phone." Well, that's what he said really quick. Is he said that on their way out when they were trying to get the heck out of there, the cops were like, "We need to see your phones,"
oh,
and they
dang.
were trying to check for footage, and like we didn't film anything because we were just freaked out. But
Yeah.
apparently they saw them stop other people that were also trying to exit and start looking through their phones and deleting things. And when do you say that if it was just kids with sticks? Give me your phone.
Yeah, exactly.
Recording.
Yeah,
No, you don't. That doesn't happen. So
no,
it's definitely
no, that doesn't
something.
happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. So was there more than one of them? because I thought there were two creatures, or is this just
That's what I've
only
been
one?
hearing. I've been hearing at least two. I haven't heard just a single creature. I've heard a couple of them that are phasing in and out and coming into different entrances of the mall and walking around the mall and stuff. And it, man, can you imagine? So I don't know what's going on. Like, why would they be so brazen now to come out in a public space and try to phase in? Well, another theory, just real quick, because I was watching again, Tony Merkel. They got some good tidbits on their show right now with the confessionals. He had a lot of cool people on that research, like the cult. There's a guy that does like just the Mason stuff. There's a lot of different ones he was talking to kind of communicate all these reasons behind things, right? And they were saying how like Antarctica and Miami both have the same. There's a circle, or they call it a triangle of energy that communicates the exact same way, and they have the exact same. It's inverted, but it's the exact same. What do you call it? Nautical
Oh
mile.
yeah, I saw that today. I saw that
So,
today. Yeah.
so if these were alien creatures, they were trying to go to Antarctica and they showed up in Miami accidentally. Who knows? You know what I mean? Like, oh,
Mhm.
it was the wrong coordinates. We just showed up. Now they're confused. There's cops everywhere, and they're glitching back and forth with whatever technology they have. Who knows, right? But I know that was a cool theory because I'm like, and there's another place too that has the exact. I think it's the Bermuda Triangle too. So that Miami and Antarctica have all that same coordinate style.
Uh-huh.
But yeah,
Yeah,
it'd be interesting,
yeah. Imagine if that happened in Salt Lake
right?
at the downtown,
It'd be at the temple,
plaza.
probably temple grounds, or right at the City Creek Mall or something, right there.
Yeah,
City
at the
Creek,
big
I could see it at City Creek, like walking around all those bridges, like
mall.
yeah. No, one thing I was gonna say too is that there are some theories out there that like Jack Parsons back in the day trying to do like the Babylon workings, and there was I forget the other guy's name, but they would do these rituals and try to bring out entities from other realms,
Yeah.
and some are theorizing that that's what this was too, is somebody powerful enough had somehow like sorcered them into existence into that area, and that could be the case too if you believe some of that stuff. But it's weird.
Yeah, yeah. There's something to it. Anything that's spiritual. Like on the spiritual realm is. I don't get into that much. You
Yeah,
know, but no, there's something to it. I've heard too many stories
yeah,
where somebody has a Ouija board, somebody does chant, someone's doing some seance,
yeah.
and something happens.
I mean, you've had ghost experiences though. We're gonna have to get into those here in a sec too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's the thing that's crazy is and they're 9 to 12 feet tall, right? These alien creatures. So a lot of people are theorizing the whole Nephilim thing, which is obviously biblical and stuff.
Mhm.
Um, because in the Bible it talks about like just in the days of Noah, so in the days of the end, right? And if
Yep.
that's the case, then these giants might come back. Maybe they're giants that are coming back to show themselves. Who knows? I mean, and I've seen. I don't know if you've noticed, but I don't know if you like go on TikTok very much. I'm only on it because of certain friends. They're I'm not a huge fan of it because it really ruins my mind if I just sit there all day watching it. But there's these giant puppets that these people are making right now, and they're like 15 to 25 feet tall, and they're like a bunch of people are working these massive wooden structured
Mhm.
puppets. I don't know if you've seen those.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I wonder if and it's all over the world. So I'm like, it's just weird that it's happening. That plus the 9 to 12 foot alien creatures that we're seeing, plus the end of days stuff. Like, why? Why are we seeing all these giants? You mentioned it, John, before we started recording. You mentioned the giants that we're seeing in Peru or whatever it was recently, and there was that video that we all had seen, and we were talking about that. Yeah, and so there's that plus Miami plus Vegas. We talked about Vegas. There was plus these giant 8 to 10 foot aliens that were in the
Mhm.
person's backyard, a few months ago. So it just seems to be amping up.
Well, do you think it kind of? You think it might be like a kind of like a Project Bluebeam, where
Yeah,
they're like, where they're putting the image out like in 3D or
yep.
whatever they do, however they do it. Because I saw that one where they showed that well,
Oh
in the
yeah.
gymnasium. That was crazy,
Or
and
the
that's yeah,
or the Detroit Lions one, where like the lion comes out of the screen and it goes around the whole stadium and goes back into the screen. It
yeah,
it looked so real. It was crazy.
yeah. It does. Yes, could it be something like that where they're trying to scare,
Yeah,
scare us again, like with COVID, and trying to
yeah,
scare us with that? And I don't know.
yeah,
The
yeah.
government and
Maybe
military are just shady.
my wonder is it this is just a theory too, but my wonder is it going to be like hey, we're here. And all of a sudden now, because we've had so much violence everywhere in the world and war, nation against nation, war against war, whatever. I wonder if like it's gonna be one of those things where it's like, oh, we can all be united now, finally. Like there's another threat. There's something else. Let's all be humans and be
Yeah,
together. So I don't know.
yeah,
Maybe that's the thing. It's weird, but it seems like it's ramping up to that. So
yeah. It's coming up to something, because now they're starting, because it started last year when they started bringing out, all the alien, stuff,
mhm,
with the Pentagon and all the tapes and videos. Now it's ramping up to, actually seeing aliens, you
right,
know, and
right.
then who knows what's going to happen this year,
Yeah.
you know, might be an
So
attack somewhere.
gearing up to some kind of false flag. I always tell people that I know that I'm close to. It's like, hey, just be very cautious about what comes out next,
All
and
this
just
stuff.
and like, we tried to do that. Like before we hopped on air and stuff, we were kind of chatting, and it's like we have to take everything with a grain of salt. We have to even the stuff that we want to believe, like because it's that
Mhm.
whole poster. I want to believe, and I really do. I want to believe this stuff, but it's like it really could be something like you're saying, a false flag situation. But
Yeah, the
use
false
caution.
flags are yeah, false flags are really interesting to like watch them happen, and then you're like watching the incident, and you're like, wait a minute, you know,
Yeah.
it
Yeah,
was
it makes me nervous for sure because it's like all the AI stuff we have now too, and like our technology is getting ahead of us. I feel like so it's kind of causing us to, like everybody. You ask anybody, even people that weren't conspiracy theorists, like I've always sort of been a conspiracy guy, but like now everyone's kind of like, I don't know if I trust that video. I don't know if I trust that. And it's like literally any video, give me any video. It's like, oh, was that faked? Was that faked? Was it? So I don't know. It's gonna be weird if they do say, hey, we're aliens from another planet. We're here, everyone get in line, blah blah blah. This is what we're doing. I guarantee 60% of the world's gonna be like, that's fake. It's a fake video, even if it's real. So
yeah,
that's what's kind of scary too, because the AI is so close to it now. It just seems so
oh
real.
yeah,
All this deep fake stuff and everything else.
yeah.
And,
Elon Musk has said AI is not good.
yeah, no, it's not.
Elon Musk said that.
Yeah, yeah. Did you hear about that robot that attacked somebody in the warehouse?
Yeah,
And that was multiple credible sources. It wasn't just one. It was all over the news.
yeah, yeah,
So it malfunctioned. It attacked somebody. The dude was bleeding. Terminator, guys. I Robot.
yeah. Oh, 100%. Yeah, it's gonna happen. I
I'm
mean, the
okay with.
cars are.
I'm not okay with iRobot, but I'm okay with Westworld. If it was like a Westworld vibe, I'm down. I want to go into that world and have some fun. I don't know.
Yeah,
It sounds cool. But John, I feel terrible. We didn't actually with the we're like halfway through the podcast maybe,
oh,
and
it's fine.
we didn't give you a chance to like introduce yourself and tell our audience who you are and stuff. So I don't know if you want to hop there and just tell them who you are
Sure.
and kind of what your background is and all that.
So, as you know, I'm John Marshall. I run Valley Bigfoot. I had my first experience when I was 12 years old, and it's in my books. I've been on, it's out there. Yeah, it was. I was 12 years old. I didn't know what it was at first. I just thought it was some unknown animal that we never heard about. 'Cause I used to hunt and fish and camp all over, Logan Canyon, Cache Valley. It was just, I didn't know what it was. Like I wasn't scared of it. It was just something that happened, and then I figured out what it was.
Can you go like what I guess go into it a little deeper if you can? Like what was the experience? Like what happened?
Okay. Yeah. So, my friend and I were on the golf course in Smithfield at Birch Creek, and we were, hunting for golf balls. It was early like spring, or it's already melting the snow, and we were trying to find golf balls because back then you could sell them back to the golf course,
Oh,
and
nice.
so we were going there to, we getting them. It was like 25 cents a ball, so we were going there, get like 80 golf balls each, and just go back there, and sell them to them. So we were down in this gully, and in between the gully, there's a golf cart path, and we, I was ahead of him, and there is a dead deer on the path. It was a doe, and I looked at it, and I'm like, it just looked weird. Its neck was snapped in a weird way, like its neck was like really weird in a way. And I walked up to it, and it looked like it was fresh, like it wasn't torn apart yet. It didn't, it was cold still, but the body, like it just felt like it happened right then. So I turned around to talk to my friend, and right behind me was a bramble bush.
Yeah.
And I turned to see him. He turned white, his face dropped, and he turned and ran, and was screaming and crying and everything. So I chased after him. I caught up to him on top of the hill of the gully, and I said, what are you doing? And he's like, I thought it got you. I thought it got you. And I'm like, what are you talking about? What got me? He said when I turned around, he said when I turned around, a big hairy hand reached out over my right shoulder, like a big hairy arm. I
Oh,
didn't see it. I didn't sense it. I didn't see it or sense it, but it was right here.
it reached out to your shoulder,
Yeah, over my
and he
shoulder.
said, and he saw that
He
through the
thought
brain.
it grabbed. Yeah, he thought it got me. I didn't see it, so I'm like, yeah, right, because he was known to, he was known to like lie and tell stories and stuff. And so right then, right when I said, yeah, right, this roar, scream, whatever you want to call it, came from that area. And all of a sudden we heard heavy steps coming up the gully towards us.
Oh,
And so
no
we
way.
backed up. Yeah. So I grabbed a rock or a stick and he grabbed something else because, all we could do, is hurry and, grab something and back up. And I told him, I said, it's going to pop out right here if it keeps coming. And it kept coming. And right before it got to where we could see it, it stopped and went down the gully and ran through the gully up the other side and broke out the other side and just ran. We could see it running. It was on 2 feet the whole time, a big brown blur of fur, of hair, fur, whatever you want to call it, and it ran on
Like
2 feet the whole time.
like a dark brown, super dark brown.
It was dark brown.
Like comparing it to, I guess, like a cow skin, like a brown cow, or even darker than that.
It was kind of like brown, with some hints of lighter brown in there. But I mean, but how it ran, you could tell it was like running, with its arms, its legs. It was 2 feet the whole time. It wasn't a moose. It wasn't an elk. It
Very
wasn't a
yeah, bipedal,
cow.
100%.
Yeah, a bear can't run that far on 2 legs. I'm sorry, he
But
can't do it.
also, I mean, also a fresh deer like that, any other predator that killed something like that is going to be right there watching over the animal. I mean, if it was a bear, especially, you're kind of in big trouble if you stumble upon its fresh kill. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? They get so protective over that stuff, and then, like you said, there was no rip into it. It was like there was no meat exposed. It wasn't like something was eating on it. It was like
no,
whatever this was. It's like you said, it snapped its neck or something, and it just laid it there.
yeah, and I don't know if he was carrying it as it was running because we didn't check. So after we saw it run away, we watched till we couldn't see it anymore, and then we ran home.
Did you? Okay, so this is my thought. You stumbled upon its kill. You're right there, like Roman's saying, and it's going to grab you now because it's like, no, I just barely hunted this thing down. I'm not going to lose this right now. So I don't know. Do you think it was? It might have actually. Your friend might have been right. It might have been coming for you for real.
I've never thought of that. Seriously, I've never thought of that because as you just said that, like it probably thought, I was gonna, grab his deer, but I was a kid. I was 12. I mean, it's way bigger than me.
Were you
Like,
standing right
like
over the deer, like looking down at it?
I was like right next to it. Yeah, I was
Yeah.
looking down right at it.
Well, they have this, and you probably know better than I than us because I mean, we listen to a lot of podcasts. I've been reading. There we go. Bigfoot Terror in the Woods by W.J. Sheehan,
Oh,
the volume
nice.
one. It's great stuff. There's some great articles in here, great stories in here. I'm gonna get your book, by the way, because I think that is
Cool.
local,
I
I want to
close
get
to home.
both your books. I think the second one sounds really cool too. Cache Valley. What's the exact title again? It's called.
Sometimes sometimes shadows do move in the woods.
Yeah, sounds cool. Yeah, we'll probably plug your book at the end again, but yeah. So what I was gonna say is like your kids. A lot of times when you're children, there's like some innocence there that I feel like these things a lot of times will not harm the children. Like sometimes they'll harm adults. I think it's kind of I don't know. Some people say they're aggressive, some people say they're not, but I think because you guys were young, like if you guys were full blown adults at that time, it might have been a different story. Is all I'm saying. But I think the fact that you guys were children, it maybe gives you a little break. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I can see that. I don't think it wanted to hurt us at all. I think it just wanted to scare us out of there, and it
Yeah.
did. But so as it ran away from us, we watched it probably for 20 seconds until it vanished out of our sight. So it ran up to Smithfield. I think it's called Dry Canyon. It's the back side of Cedar Hill above Hyde Park and and Smithfield. And so, yeah,
And where is that at? Is that up in like Logan area?
it's in Cache Valley. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Hyde
So
Park's right next to North Logan and Logan. Yeah.
did it run? So it's running up the canyon towards the
Yeah.
mountain.
So it ran towards the mountains. It ran towards the foothills, up Dry Canyon, and then up towards around um, Cedar Hill and everything.
Was it abnormally fast, like you hear people say?
Yes. I mean, it was fast. I really couldn't see the arms that much, because all I focused on was how big it was and how fast it was. And as I said, like I know moose, I know elk, deer. It wasn't any of that because it was two legs the whole time.
What would you estimate its height? I know you're 12 years old and it was a while back, a long time ago, but what would you estimate the height being? Like, did you ever go back to that area and just try to see like maybe the height of where that thing was?
Well, knowing the goalie and everything, and we were across from it,
Hard to say.
probably 7 foot
Yeah.
estimate, maybe.
The behavior
I
is weird.
don't think it was a juvenile. I don't think it was a juvenile. It was big.
It seemed
Too
like an
big.
adult still, like an adult
Oh yeah,
male.
it was too big. It was too big for a juvenile.
Was it? Could you tell it was a male or a
I
female?
couldn't tell.
Couldn't tell.
I'm pretty sure it probably was how big it was.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that T-top shape. That was probably a male.
yeah,
That
yeah.
look.
The shoulders. Yeah, I mean, if you look, if I look at it now, like right now in my head, I can see it. As it's up the canyon, as it's far away from us, it looks like a triangle.
Yep. All right.
Yeah,
Damn,
yeah,
man, that's a crazy experience. I do you still talk to that friend that you?
yeah. He says there's aliens.
Oh wow.
He says there's an alien.
So he's
He
kind of changed
believes.
his subject on it a little bit.
Yeah, he says there's an alien. He's always had alien encounters. He says his whole life. That's what he says it was. That's his belief. That's fine. You know,
Yeah.
he won't
But
talk about.
but
Yeah, he won't talk about it.
they say Bigfoot and aliens always there's always some kind of connection. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, and like he believes in Nibiru. Nibiru. The other planet.
Nibiru.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yes, yeah, that.
Yeah, no,
So
and there's evidence of that too. It's so I mean
yeah,
I don't fault him for it. You know what I mean? It's
no,
tough to say, and none of us really know. But if you're seeing
Exactly.
some big bipedal hairy creature taking off, yeah, theories go wild, especially when we're watching Star Wars and our guy,
Chewbacca?
yeah, created Chewbacca, and he said he created it based off of a Sasquatch, but
yeah,
it's also an alien creation in a way because it's from a different planet. So hey,
yeah,
maybe these are from another. Who knows? Like, there's a lot of questions there. Uh,
yeah. I mean,
again,
yeah,
so that was kind of like the catalyst for you. Is that kind of what really made you start diving into the Bigfoot kind of research and looking into the whole subject?
yeah. So I believe ever since I was 12 years old, I believed, but I really didn't get into it like until I got married.
What
So I mean,
really quick, what made you think Bigfoot though? Because if you thought alien, did you see a Bigfoot thing before this,
no.
like a show or anything?
Here's how here's and people think I'm lying about this. This is true. So this happened on a Saturday. I go to school Monday. Our teacher said, "Okay, we're gonna do go to the library, do reports on dinosaurs."
Hmm.
So I go to the library and I grabbed this book. I think it's called Mystic Places or Mystic Universe, some of that. It's a Time Life book.
Yeah.
And I was going through it and I open it up and there's Patty's picture.
Ooh, there you go.
And I'm like, Jimmy, come here. So he comes over and I said, that's what we saw. And he didn't want to talk about it. So I read what it was. So I read about it. I'm like, Bigfoot, what the heck, And so I didn't go all eight, crapping and everything and get so excited. I was just sitting there. I was like, that's what we saw.
Yeah.
And yeah. So I mean, I just knew it was true after seeing that picture of
So
Patty.
it was close enough to Patty that it made sense in your mind.
Well, just seeing how Patty looked, it was just almost the exact same.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah,
what I saw.
I was gonna say the behavior is so strange because if it was its kill, it just left that kill for you guys, I guess, when it took off, right? It's like
Yeah.
it didn't take the deer with it. It just went up, But then again, it's probably gonna come back, after it knows you guys are gone, the coast is clear. It's probably gonna come back for that deer, maybe bring its
Yeah.
family or something. But it's just weird behavior when you think about it.
Yeah.
My theory is like the reason Bigfoot don't want the smoke per se with people, don't want to challenge us isn't because we're better or something. It's just because I think we're very prideful as a species. And I guarantee, like if you start messing, if they attack one of us, right? The reason they're so calm about it, I think, is because they see we got helicopters flying around, we got freaking atom bombs going off, we got all kinds of weird stuff. We're making our own people sick all day, every day. So
Yeah.
I think they don't want the smoke, as in they would rather just be peaceful, even though they could probably tear us apart limb to limb if they wanted. It's just we have a mass number of people, and we have a problem with anger and a problem with technology that
Mhm.
might really affect them if they are really trying to hide and stay low profile. You know what I mean? So that's my thought. I don't know. What do you think?
No, I agree. No, I agree. I just watched, it's funny tonight. So right before I got on here, I watched X-Files and I watched my favorite episode. It's called Detour.
I need to watch
I
that
love
again.
that episode. It's so great. And it's about these creatures who have been here for thousands of years who have got the ability to like cloak themselves
Hmm.
like trees, like plants. They can hide like right in front of you.
Like chameleon.
And yeah, like a chameleon kind of thing. And that's how Bigfoot is. I mean, I tell people all the time, I'm like, you probably walked past
Oh yeah.
it and you haven't even
They are
seen it.
so good at hiding into the atmosphere. You're so right on that. It's
Yeah, I
crazy.
mean, I walked past deer and
Oh yeah.
I turn around, it's right there. I'm like, what?
They're just
You know,
silent. They'll
didn't
just
even
sit
see
there
it.
and watch you, you know? I tested that theory, John, one time. I was up hiking in Big Conwood Canyon, and it was a
Mhm,
really deep trail with just trees everywhere. It was in the summer, so it was just overgrown. It was when we had the really bad snow last year.
mhm.
So it was everything super green, super thick. And I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go hike up in this little area, and I'm gonna just kind of turn and just sort of hide right there. Not hide enough to where you shouldn't see me, but enough to where I just want to test it, you know?
Yeah.
'Cause everyone
Uh-huh.
talks about, oh, why is it so hard to find a Bigfoot, blah, blah. So I just stood there and I hung out for a minute. And I was quiet, I think I was sipping a Mountain Dew or something. I was just sitting there. And people would just walk past me. This huge hiking trail, like 40 people walking back and forth. Nobody noticed me once. And I'm like, there you go, a bigger guy. Like I'm only 5'10", but I'm 235. Or 240 at this point. I'm a pretty good big guy. And so, and the more you get that, they can still hide, especially if they're all brown or all black or all gray, like you hear, and they're hiding in
Yeah.
these trees. Like, yeah, and you're not going to see it. You're not going to see
Well,
it.
there was a girl who did her thesis on mountain lions up up above, northern Utah,
Hmm.
and she put out like 80 trail cams, maybe more, all around the canyons. And she caught like 80 mountain lions, on 80 separate mountain lions on trail cameras.
Yeah.
Well, what she figured out is that she had one placed up by Third Dam, you know where that is, Logan
Hmm.
Canyon. There's a campground there. She had it placed in the campground area. Well, there's people hiking past a mountain lion that's like right on the trail. It's like right under a bush
No way.
during the day, and these kids are running past it. There's people walking by it,
Wow.
not even seeing it. It's
Wow.
it's probably like a foot away from kids,
Geez, that is scary.
just laying there. It's yeah. So I mean, if they can't see a mountain lion, imagine not. I mean,
No,
it's
that's
right there.
that
Yeah,
that's such a good point.
animals.
That's such a good point. I was going to say you know, they there's such and that's the thing. And people always say, why do I not see one then? Like I'm a hunter. Like you said, you used to hunt and stuff. People that are out in the woods all the time. And they're like the reason I don't believe in Bigfoot is I've never seen one, right? But it's like, yeah, but and then they always have that one story. But there was this weird time that these rocks were getting thrown at me, or there
Yep,
was this
yep.
weird howling
Weird
sound that I
howling,
can't
yeah.
explain. There's always that but one story, right? But it's just it is they can hide so well. And the thing that you brought up about the different coloration in the fur or the hair when you saw your creature, um, there's a theory that's what helps them blend in. It's something to do with their hair being multicolored and have all these different
Mhm.
textures and colors to it, kind of like our camouflage and stuff that
With
we
the
do.
military, yeah.
There's something to that it could help them blend in even better.
Well, moose. I mean, I live up here now, in Jackson, and there's tons of moose out here. They can walk into some bushes and be gone,
Yeah,
and they're still standing, and they're still there. They're still standing right there, but you can't see them.
yeah,
And it's crazy. Animals can camouflage so well
yeah.
because they know their environment.
Nature is amazing. Yeah, they know their environment. It's like when we went to Vietnam War, the Vietnam guys knew their environment. That's why we struggled so bad because they were hiding in
Yeah,
places that we couldn't see them.
yeah.
It's the same kind of thing. So did you ever
But
have any other Bigfoot experiences after that, or like what happened after that? Did you were saying something about
Yeah,
your wife and you? I remember you were about to say something. We cut you off. I don't know if you remember what you were going to say.
about what? Sorry.
You were saying a story about you and your wife. You were kind of getting into your story about. I don't know if it was how you started writing your book or experiences you
Oh
had.
no, no, it was just so I had one. So I had one like a few weeks later when I was 12, just a canyon over, High Park Canyon. We had an experience. And then when I was 14, we had one at my family's cabin. And then when I was what was this one? Man, I got so many things in my head right now. I had one touch my tent in the Wind Rivers.
Ooh, tell us about that.
That was crazy. So I was at Big Sandy Lake. I was the only one there. It was the end of August, so like in between school starting and ending, or for the kids and
How old?
scouting.
How old were you?
21, 22.
Okay.
And so I was at Big Sandy Lake, just camping there for the week. I was fishing and stuff, hiking around, playing, and I was the only one there. There's no one else camping there. I had hikers who hiked through, going up to Circuit Towers and rock climbing stuff. And the first 2 days was just normal. And then day three, I heard kind of like some rocks falling across the lake, and I just thought probably a bear walking up the scree slide and everything. And then I went to bed one night, and at 2 in the morning, I woke up instantly, just wide awake, and everything was dead quiet. And I was on my back. I was laying on my back, and I opened my eyes, and my tent wall got pushed in by a big hand. You can see each individual tip of the fingers pushed in the tent wall above my head. And I coughed, and it slowly pulled back, and I could hear it. It's standing right there by the tent. It was breathing heavy, like a deep breath. And I said, "I know you're here." I heard it shuffle its feet, and then it turned and walked away. And then as it got farther and farther away, the sounds came back in the forest, like the insects, the little night birds, night owls. It all came back.
Why are they so strange with the tent thing? I hear this all the time where it's like they just kind of want to get
I
close.
think what happened, and this is my philosophy about it, I think what happened is I had a smaller tent. It was my dad's old army tent. It was like, I mean, it was tiny. It was short
Uh-huh.
but long, and it was dark green. So he probably heard me snoring, but couldn't really see the tent until he touched it.
Oh dang.
That's what I think.
And then he felt it all weird, like, what is this? Like embryo feeling vibe, you know? Like again, I'm on the embryo thing tonight, but
And I
yeah,
still I still have the tent too. And
that's
so
cool. Is it like a one person tent then? Like just a
yeah,
little
I mean
out?
it can fit two people. It can fit two, but it's mostly good for one.
Those old
But
army surplus tents are awesome. They last forever. But man,
yeah,
you probably scared the crap out of him when you said, "Hey, I know you're there." You know, like you probably freaked
yeah.
him
I mean, I
out.
I coughed first. I coughed first to know, make sure like it wasn't a bear or but by the prints of the fingertips, each individual tip, you could see it. I
Yeah,
knew it wasn't a paw, like it wasn't a paw doing this.
yeah,
It
yeah.
was like a hand doing this.
Did you have any weaponry with you, or were you just sort of?
No, I don't hike with guns or anything. I should now, but I never have.
Yeah, that makes
If I
sense.
get killed, I get killed.
I mean, it's scary. It is scary carrying a weapon around like that. It's just such a big liability and stuff. But we usually will carry sometimes. But yeah, it's scary. It gets a little creepy. But that's man, that's crazy. So where was this at? You were
In
21.
the Wind Rivers in Wyoming, in the
Oh,
Wind
this is
Rivers,
Wyoming. Okay.
up a Big Sandy
Wow.
Lake.
Wow. I think the beauty of us where we all live is like there's just and people don't know this, but there's so many like I like that you wrote the Cache Valley Bigfoot books because there's a lot more sightings here than people think. We have one, and we had one in Provo. A friend of mine had where, and I'll just it's a very quick snippet because they've heard us
Yeah,
on this podcast before. But it was a friend of mine named Brent, and he was hanging out with his family. It was Thanksgiving, and they went up to this ice blocking area right next to the canyon in Provo. And it was November, like it was Thanksgiving. It was the weekend of Thanksgiving, and there was some snow and stuff. And it was like 2000. I think he said 2011 or something like that. And he took his kids out. One of his kids was younger, like 3 or 4. One of them was like 7 or 8. and they were just watching the ice blockers. And as they got out of their car, they looked over because they heard some noise, and there was this dumpster right there. And the dumpster, I went back to research it myself later,
Yeah.
but the dumpster, I compared the height and stuff. He said there was something standing next to it, and it crouched down right when he like looked at it, and it was just looking at him. And he said I could just feel it saying like, "Don't worry about it. I'm just here. Leave me alone. You do your thing. I do my thing." He could just feel that vibe.
Almost like the mind speak that you hear about
But he's like, it was
sometimes.
the weirdest thing because the thing had. He's like, at first I thought it was a Halloween costume, but like, why would they be wearing a Halloween costume a month later? And he's like, it was because it was so tall. He's like, I thought it was two college kids in a costume together. That's how tall it was. And he's like, but then I started looking at the face, and he's like, it's weird because it had like a mullet, so it was like an older one that was grayish
Mhm.
tone, and it had like receded hairlines all the way up with like long hair hanging down. And he's like, so I could tell it was an old man, like it was an older gentleman, Bigfoot. And it was watching these ice blockers, these kids like with glee hiding behind this dumpster.
Mhm.
And then as he was looking at it for a while, it kind of just took one big step and hit on the other side of the dumpster so it wouldn't see him anymore. And that's
Huh.
all it did. And then he's like, oh, we got to get out of here. Let's get out of here. It just felt dangerous after that. But yeah, it's weird. And then I saw mine in Logan. I was driving, me and him were in the car together, and I was driving down the canyon, and I just remember like looking over because I like to look for wildlife and stuff. It's like one of my
Yeah.
things, you know. And there was a lake right here as we're coming down the canyon towards Salt Lake, and on the left side, you probably know what I'm talking about. And then on the right, there was some mountains and stuff. And I was looking at where the mountain breaks, where it starts going up, and it's all snowy and everything, so it's winter. And I look over and I see this like unnatural lighter brown. It was darker brown than what you'd expect, but it wasn't as dark as all the pine trees and stuff, right? And it
Mhm.
was just a big thing. I thought it was like a totem pole at first, like a native totem pole. So I was looking at it, I'm like, that's good. And I'm driving. I shouldn't even be looking at it. I'm like, what is this? And as I'm driving, I'm like, Roman's like, what are you looking at? I'm like, hold on. I'm like, and as I'm driving, I see it put it the totem pole like T shape, puts its arms down, takes one big stride, and it's in the canyon. It just goes right into the mountains right there. And it was like it moved. So I'm like, that's not a totem pole. And it was bipedal. And it was acting stiff at first, like some weird, like imitating something. It was weird. It was weird. That was the only experience I had, but it was crazy. So
Yeah, that's nuts. So was it Logan Canyon or was it Sardine Canyon?
it was Logan Canyon.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's the one that I don't know, it's the one that you come back from Logan down through into the valley into I think you go into what's it
We were
called?
going to Brigham City originally, and then we were
Mhm.
coming back from Brigham City. I think, right?
What
Wasn't it
what
Brigham
canyon
City?
would that be, do you think? Like the
Yeah.
That's
main.
Sardine. If
Oh,
there's a
it's
lake
probably
on the left
Sardine.
side, if there's a lake on the left side, that's Manoa.
Yeah, that's
And
probably it.
then
You're probably right. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, no, that's a high area for Bigfoot.
Wow. And I didn't even
Rocky
know
Mountain
that.
Sasquatch always there.
I had no idea. I was just literally like looking at this thing like, what is that? And then it moved. And I'm like, and
Yeah.
Roman's like, he wanted to see it so bad, but we were driving so fast.
I know,
It
I'm
was a
pissed.
freeway, you know? But I'm like, I know what I saw. I saw it take a step. It was like two full steps. And it was in the forest. You know what I mean? So it was crazy. It was really.
Yeah, I get people all the time who like ask me why there's not, why can't they see a Bigfoot? If you talk to Jeff Meldrum says if you go by ape population, how they do it, and everything, if you
Mhm.
break it down, he said there's probably 40 to 50 in each state.
We
There you
got Jeff
go.
Meldrum's map book right here.
We actually met him over there at Phenomicon. He was so cool. Really
Oh
nice.
yeah, he's awesome. Yeah,
Yeah, but
he's
you're
he's a cool
totally
guy.
right. That's exactly right. Like the amount of Bigfoot in an area is yeah, that's what it would be.
Yeah, he said there's probably 40 or 50 in each state, if that.
Yeah,
It depends on population and density and all that stuff.
yeah.
Oregon might have more. Washington State might have more.
California,
Alaska for sure has more. Yeah,
Northern
California.
California might have a few more. Yeah,
Alaska,
some
Canada.
South Texas might have a little more of those red ones that you hear about all
Mhm.
the time in Texas. But
Yeah, Oklahoma. Yeah.
I actually found you. I was looking you up before we started, and I found you featured in an article, Utah State article. I don't know if you remember getting interviewed for
Uh huh.
that. And
Yeah.
you said that there was a White Pine and Tony Grove campsites, or some of the more recent hotspots, probably at the time when you were doing this interview.
Yeah. Yeah. White Pine Lake is above 20 Grove.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. It's like an hour and a half hike up to it. It's really easy hike. And yeah, it's real popular. I got walked out of that area by a Bigfoot. I never saw him. I could just I was going up into this area because I kind of knew there were some sightings up this one area,
Mhm.
and I got past a certain point and I just felt it. As you said, mind speak, whatever it is.
Yeah,
I
it's
just
not
felt
weird.
I just felt it all of a sudden it said, turn around. So I said out loud, okay, I'm leaving, I'm turning around. And I turned around, started walking back down the trail, and I could hear him parallel me on the other side.
They always do that. They pace you out on both, sometimes
Yeah,
on both sides too, if you're on a trail or whatever.
My
yeah,
brother
it was just one.
my brother and
Yeah.
I 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago. I'm pretty sure this is a Bigfoot vibe because we were up in Lambs Canyon, which is heading up towards Parley's, towards like
Yep.
Park
Yeah.
City and stuff. And that's a pretty dense area when you're actually deep into that canyon right there, in the Lambs Canyon portion of it, right? And it
Yep.
was summer again, really nice. Maybe it was spring. It was really nice weather though, and it was just super green, and there was all the plants were growing. We're walking up there, and I just remember we sit on this log, both of us, and we're halfway through the hike, and we're like, nah. Well, we just both of us felt danger instantly. Like same kind of thing. The mind speak. Like you might as well just leave. We were by ourselves. Nobody else was right there hiking up that area, and that smell of skunk was around. All that kind of stuff. So we're like, no.
Yeah,
So
no,
we walked back.
we both looked at each other and said, we can't go any further. There's no way if we move any closer, we're gonna
It
get
just felt very
we're
dangerous.
probably gonna be in trouble. Something's gonna happen to us,
Yeah. I think with mine, I came into a birthing area. I think
Oh,
I think there was children around or
oh
smaller
man.
ones around because I mean it happened fast and yeah, he just turned me around.
Man,
Scary.
the most dangerous thing that you can run into is a mother with babies, whether it's animals, humans, right? Anything, right?
Yeah.
You're in
Oh,
trouble.
my wife will, yeah, my wife's a bear.
Oh
When it comes
yeah,
to our daughter, man.
lionesses are scarier than the main lion. The
Oh
big.
yeah,
Uh,
she's tough.
Hey John,
Yeah.
have you ever come across any like tree structures, nests, or anything like that up in Cache Valley?
I came over some tree structures above White Pine, about in that area, heading towards Mount Naomi. I know Jeff Meldrum, he's part of this group that does it's the Cascade ones. There's some nests they found in the Cascades. I don't know if you talked about that at the conference,
is
but
that with
they
is that with
they
Cliff
found some.
Brackman and those guys?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
I think Cliff's involved too.
yeah, yeah,
And they found some nesting sites that are like bald eagles nests, but on the ground.
Yeah, huge. Yeah,
Yeah,
I actually remember reading a thing about that.
he showed me some of that in his office in his lab when I went and see him, and it was cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Did you just have pictures of it, or what was he showing you?
No, he had actual like the nest, so like he had a part of it
Wow.
in his lab because I
You
guess
go-
they were going through trying to find hairs and stuff.
Yeah, that makes
Mhm.
sense. That makes sense.
Have you been to his lab yet?
No, we met him
Oh,
over there at the Phenomicon.
We're
and-
still
and
fanning big time. We've only talked to him once, but
honestly, he's like
Yeah.
a celebrity to us. We look at him like, man, this because I mean, I love the fact that he's leading the charge in this Bigfoot research on the scientific level. I think that's super cool that he's taken that Grover Krantz mantle type thing, and
mhm.
moving it forward. And Cliff's kind of that way too in his own way. He's a little hard headed in some regards when it comes to the woo woo stuff, which I love to get into some of the woo woo when it comes to these things. But um, and speaking of, I was gonna bring because you went and saw his lab. Did you got to see any footprints? Did he show you some of those things, or were you able?
Yeah, I think he has 300 to 400 sets
Wow.
or casts, and then he showed me this cool one. It's the bottom of a Bigfoot that they believe is a Bigfoot that sat down in some mud,
Mhm.
and it's this lower, it's the upper leg, its butt, and everything, and
Wow.
it's a cast of it.
Nice.
And yeah,
Big
he
old
has some
body.
yeah, big old booty, and he has some handprints and everything. Yeah, I mean it's pretty cool. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
That's cool.
He's he's so down to earth. He's such a nice guy.
Oh yeah, he chatted with
I'm
us.
glad he's feeling better. After
Yeah.
his little incident in Alaska.
Wasn't it like a heart attack or a stroke or something?
I
Right?
think it was something like that, but
Like
no,
that.
he's doing better. I think he's going to conferences again.
Yeah. I
So
mean he talked to us like we were just his like normal people, just good.
yeah,
He actually like tuned out everybody else when he was talking to us, and he did the same thing with this other gentleman right before us and stuff. So it's pretty cool. I like his vibe a lot.
yeah,
Um,
I took my daughter with me, so my daughter got met him, and he loved my daughter. So no, it
I
was
haven't
cool.
I have his book too, the Sasquatch, whatever. I'm still reading that one. The newer
Yeah.
book is.
Religion meets science. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one. Yep.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, this is good stuff, man. So you've had those. There's 4 experiences you've told us about, at least, if not more, with Bigfoot. Uh, why do you think there's? Are you actively searching for it, or do you think there's like do you think they sort of imprint on people or something? Like,
Oh,
what's
that's a
your
good
thought?
question.
I've heard of that. I kind of believe they might do that. Um,
Like they allow
if
themselves to be shown to certain people. You know what I mean?
I think of certain people, because you heard that guy on YouTube. What's his name? Sorry, hold on. You heard of Steve? Oh, can you see it?
No, it's
A little
popping
bit.
it out.
Put it up a little more.
Oh, it's blurry.
Yeah.
There you go. Kind of. Ah, man,
Trying to see it.
too blurry.
It's the guy from YouTube. Who does How to Hunt?
Uh-huh.
How to Hunt channel.
Nice. I haven't seen that, but we'll check it out.
His name is Steve Isdale.
That's up your
So
alley, for sure.
yeah, so he did a comment about it. He said there were some wolf hunters that tried doing this. So they went up there with the mindset of, trapping wolves. And then one group went on there without that mindset.
Mhm.
So the guys who had the mindset of trapping wolves didn't catch any.
Oh
But
wow.
the ones who did not have the mindset, caught them.
Whoa.
Yeah, he said, I think it's your imprinting on the trap that you're going to catch a wolf, but the wolf can sense that. But the people who didn't have that, in their head, caught the wolves. So there's something to it. So
Wow, there's like
imprinting,
some intention that they
Let
can.
me-
That's crazy. They
let-
can
I
sense
think
that
I
stuff.
think there's some intention, because I think what happens with people who go out there, I mean, I have a few people right now who want me to take them up by White Pine Lake and everything, and they want to bring their AR-15s, and I'm like, no, because we won't have an encounter if you bring that crap.
Right.
No way.
If you have the mindset already of killing them, they're not going to show themselves.
No way.
You
No.
know, that's a good theory, and I can bring it into the really close at home vibe. Being a single guy, right? These women can tell when you're single looking for a woman, or if you're just like living life, not thinking about it. This is what you hear all the time. If I'm not thinking about it, you're gonna find your mate, right?
Mhm.
When you're focused on it so much, you're never gonna find somebody.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing. I wonder if it's just a law of nature in general. Now that I think about it, like yeah, it's if you're not thinking about it, you're gonna see it. If you're not focused on it, because the intent's there. If there's an intent there, what is that intent? A lot of the time. So
Yeah.
maybe that's what they feel right away. They're like, nope, I'm only going to show it to this old lady that wasn't even thinking about us, and then you know what I mean, just to pass through. They're probably not even trying to like be there, but they're just like, I got to get across this area, and she's here, but she doesn't
Yeah. Oh
have
yeah.
the intent of
Yeah.
knowing me. So you know what I mean?
Dang,
Mhm.
I want to get this. I want to get this research funded. I think that sounds pretty amazing. I would follow that all over the place if that was a real research project being conducted. Even across the whole United States or something, and they're looking at different factors, not just hunting, but a lot of different factors, and applying that same idea of intent. And seeing what the reaction is. That'd be cool. That'd be really cool to follow that.
Yeah. It'd be fun to research that for sure.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Because I don't, I mean, I think there's something to, you imprint stuff, it's like with ghosts, they imprint their spirit, or, their aura on objects, like, that kind of stuff too.
Oh yeah, the haunted objects, like Zach Bagan's whole museum of
Yeah.
stuff, and yeah, I mean, my brother here, we talked about this on our podcast, had his own weird haunted objects in a weird way that he had to get rid of because it was causing a lot of problems for him
In this place, yeah.
But yeah, and actually, since we're on that, why don't you tell us? I know you said you had some ghost experiences. If you have any that stick out, you're welcome.
Oh yeah, no, I got a few. So we lived in Coeur d'Alene for a while up in Idaho,
Beautiful.
and oh, it was beautiful. And we were living in this house, and one night, my wife and I were in the basement. We were sleeping in our room, and I woke up, and I could sense something at the end of our bed. And I nudged her, and I said, "Babe, there's something here." She's like, "I know. I've been up for an hour." And so I looked down at the end of my bed, and our room's dark, but there's something darker in our room. You could see it, and it had two red eyes. Was looking at us. And I laid back down, and I said, "I see you. I know you're here. You need to leave." and all of a sudden this zap, like zap of electricity and ozone, it was gone.
You could feel the zap or hear the zap.
Hear it like, and
Did
then
you smell
the
that?
smell
Have
of
you ever
ozone.
smelled the ozone? Like when there's like an ozone machine? Have you ever smelled that weird smell? Did you notice
Yeah, that's what it
like that?
was.
Oh wow.
It was ozone smell.
It wasn't
So
it wasn't sulfur?
no, it was ozone.
Okay.
So what happened after was way crazy. So we slept, we got up, we talked about it, we went back to bed. We got up in the morning. No, sorry. We checked on our daughter. Our daughter was in the room behind us, and she was fine. But then we put her down to nap the next day. We went in there. There were spiders everywhere, everywhere. Never had any spiders at all. I mean, there were so many spiders, and so we got traps. We sprayed them. We killed them all. We and it was just strange after that. And then I went into actually a day later. I went into a mental break where I was gonna like hurt somebody. Like I was that far gone.
Like
Like
The
it
Shining.
affected me real
Like
bad. Sorry, what?
I said like The Shining. That reminds me of The Shining.
Yeah,
Oh
Or
my gosh.
yeah,
Amityville horror. It's always like
yeah,
it's picking on the guy of the house kind of
yeah,
vibe.
yeah. My wife will even tell you that I look different. I acted different. I talked different. I looked really angry. I was going to hurt somebody. So I admitted myself to the hospital. I was there for a week, and yeah, it was crazy. I've never had that experience since.
Did after you were in the hospital, did you feel a huge difference? Like a weight was lifted for the
We
first?
actually moved. We went and moved back to Utah.
Was that house a really old house or was it a new house? Like what was the thing at that
It,
place?
it was older, but what we found out later by doing research, we found out that it was built on an area where they always had Indian stuff,
Yeah.
back then, and it also was by the river. So you know how that draws power,
Yeah.
spirits and everything. Yeah. So yeah, it was a strange
Wow.
place.
You had your own poltergeist, like the movie, you know? It was like
Yeah, it was crazy. And then in our, sorry. So then in our house in Logan, we had experiences all the time. We actually had a group come in, do a spirit box session and everything, got some cool stuff. Um, my wife's been pushed a few times. Um, saw shadow people. On our first night there, we saw a shadow person. I
just
mean,
go across the hall. Like what was the well, yeah, how did that go?
no. So I was in the front room, and so this house was built by my great grandpa, and so it's a family house. And I was in the front room, and I looked out of the corner of my eye, and out of the kitchen, this black shadow looked out from the kitchen door and looked back, and was gone. I think it was my great grandma. That's what I think it was at at the first one. My wife seen my grandpa's ghost, saw him in his uniform, his military uniform. Um, we saw shadow people. We've had lights turn on. My daughter has had seen stuff. She says she saw a werewolf upstairs. We never saw the werewolf, but she swears she did. She saw red eyes in her room. She's, yeah, I mean, it was a crazy house.
How old is your daughter, if you don't mind?
She is now 13.
Okay. And when she said that she saw the werewolf, was she younger than that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like there's like this high chance that you're gonna have more paranormal activity when you're like that 6 to 9 range, 6 to 10 range is like the most active.
That's
Um,
when she was. Yeah.
yeah, crazy.
I think it's because you're still trying to figure out like life, you're at that point where you're still malleable and stuff, and but you're like figuring out things too. So I think it's a very easy target from an evil side to try to manipulate in a way. I don't know what the purpose is of that, but I definitely feel like that's crazy. Yeah. I mean, my brother had an experience when we were younger too, where there was this. He woke up and and we were in bunk beds across. It was a bunk bed, but they separated the beds on the
Uh-huh.
across the room. So, because we're twins and stuff, so we always had the same room a lot of the time and everything. So I'm sleeping on one side, and he wakes up to this like, this lady, a pioneer looking lady, tucking my feet in of the bed to the bed, and then she looked over at him, and she was wearing like pioneer garb, like old school looking. And we were about 8 or 9 years old at that time.
She was probably I mean, I've seen other stuff too, but she was the most like vivid. where you can see all the clothes and the features of the face and the like individual hairs and all that stuff.
Like he gets a little PTSD from Ghostbusters, the movie. You remember like the library scene at the beginning with the
Yeah,
librarian? It looks like
She
that.
looked very much like that.
Yeah.
really.
Yeah, yeah. So
It was a full manifestation like that, you know, and I guess was it red eyes or yellow eyes that she looked at you with? I can't
she
remember.
had what I remember is red eyes when she looked at me. So I was thinking that she was not kind, but
Mhm.
the weird part is it kind of comes full circle, and people have probably heard this listening to our show because we've talked about it before. But
Mhm.
my dad, I told him years later because I wouldn't have told him back then. He would have kind of gave me crap about it. But when I was older, like in my 20s, I told him, and he was like, he went white, and he said all he could say to me was, "You saw her too." And then he told me that when he was about 8, 9 years old, he also saw
Around the same
that
age.
same woman
Yeah.
in his house.
Wow.
So she's probably some kind of family, like ancestor or something like
Mhm.
that. Coming back to take care of the boys in the family or something.
Wow. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, my our ghost, team that came in, did our house. We got EVPs because like a week before, so this happened a week before my dad passed away. And so we got my grandma on there saying it's my grandma's voice for sure.
Wow,
And it's just there. I think they were there because my dad was passing away and they were just there to,
Awesome.
to be with them.
that's
But
so
yeah, it was crazy. It was a cool experience. We saw orbs in the room at the same time as they were talking.
like you saw
And
them with your eyes physically. Wow,
we saw purple orbs, blue orbs, white. Someone saw an orange one. Um,
wow, that's crazy.
yeah,
And
the spirit box went off a lot.
we were
Mm.
talking about Bigfoot, and there's a lot of people that say they see the lights or the orbs around Bigfoot too. Makes you wonder if there's some spiritual connection there. With maybe it's ancestors of Bigfoots coming to watch over the Bigfoots. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, have you seen orbs in the forest before?
I haven't, but I've
I
heard
hear
a
that all
lot
the
of
time.
stories. A
Yeah,
lot
from
of stories.
hunters and everybody. They're always saying
It's
there's.
kind of unnerving. It really is. It's
So
kind of
you've seen them.
unnerving.
You've seen them. Did they try to get you to follow them? Kind of vibe. Is that what?
No, I was just watching them one night. It was up past Beaver Creek, up Logan Canyon, and I was pulled over by the sinks where they filmed that Bigfoot a few years ago
Oh
in
yeah,
the Peter Sinks area.
yeah.
I was pulled over there, and I saw one going through the trees like an orb. It was purple, and I watched it. I'm like, that is just strange because just how it was floating and
It was going with intent, like it was going a certain direction.
yeah,
Just
yeah, it was going for in intent, but yeah, it was just in the tree line, just some orbs.
wow.
It's a purple orb. Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah, like the old ancient cultures like describe it. They call it like the will o' the wisp and stuff like that, like like
Oh yeah,
Ireland and England and stuff. And so it's kind of a worldwide phenomenon, that takes place. And I don't know what it is, but that's crazy. You saw one.
yeah. I don't know if I'm lucky or just I'm
You
observant because I think people are not nearly as observant as they used to be.
oh
Because
yeah.
now they're on their phone now like
No,
this.
nonstop. You're right.
That's what it takes. You just need to have your head up in the sky or out in the wood line. Like the more you look, the more you're gonna see stuff. You're right.
I saw a falcon fly over my balcony on Thanksgiving. It was so cool. And literally the name of a falcon in Croatian is Sokol, which
Uh-huh.
is so I say so cool and so cool. But I got called that from the Croatian guy I used to work with, and the Croatian and the Bosnian girl I used to work with. That was like my nickname. And then this falcon literally flies right over my balcony, right by my head. Like I'm like, that's a sign or something. That's super cool.
Yeah, it
But
is.
but, like, I was paying attention, right? If I wasn't paying attention, I would have missed it because 'cause they're silent. You won't even see it, like, you birds are so silent, you won't even
Mhm.
see them. And then same thing with the Bigfoot thing, same thing with yeah, people are more observant, they'll see things. I see stuff in the sky all the time out here, because I'm out on the balcony sometimes and, just having a cigar or something, and I'll be looking up and I'm like, "Wow, this is insane." If people were actually paying attention. I look around, there's, like, nobody outside, and I know it's winter and stuff. Even this summer, it was the same way. But yeah,
Yeah,
it's you might be lucky. You got a treasure trove of info for sure, man. You got a lot of stuff that's gone through in your life, which I think is cool. It's a blessing in a lot of ways because you can get your truth out there and like it's real. There's a lot of stuff going on out there that the world's way different than what is it?
They want to lead us to believe, right?
Yeah, fact is a lot more stranger than fiction, right? Is what they
Oh
always
yeah, I mean, there's so much out there. I mean, HARP, doing that,
Yeah.
weather modification, all that stuff going on. I'm big into chemtrails, and
Me too.
my friends laugh at me when I point it out to them. Look, that's a chemtrail. No, it's
You
not.
can
It's a contrail. Like,
you can see it.
no,
Those aren't the
it's
clouds we grew up with, right?
it's not a
Those are
contrail.
those are not the clouds we grew up with. The clouds we grew
No,
up with were nice, juicy clouds. The stuff we see
yeah,
now is just this weird haze everywhere all the time. It's like, what?
yeah. Well, I filmed it one time. I have it somewhere on camera on a file where I filmed it in the morning, and I put it on there time. I put the time on there. I think it was like 9 o'clock in the morning. And by 12 o'clock, it was all spread across the whole valley. And
Oh,
I filmed that and I said, this is not normal.
No.
It's not normal at all.
no wonder we have so many diseases and stuff. It's probably causing all these illnesses, and then we
Well,
go pay big money
yeah.
to big pharma. You know.
Well, they seem to do it before storms or after storms. So I noticed they did it a few days before the storm hit here in Jackson.
Mhm.
And I bet they do it again after.
The other theory besides the making people sick thing is maybe it's trying to hide the veil, like the what do you call it, the atmosphere that's like it's exposed. I don't know if you've heard
Oh,
that
the
story.
ozone layer?
Yeah, like the ozone's exposed to where they have to keep doing that to cover it up so people don't lose their minds. Like,
Well, what's funny about that? Bring that up. Someone just said the ozone layer is actually fixing itself.
okay,
I heard that too.
So it's getting fixed by itself.
Yeah.
So it's not as bad as they thought.
yeah. I'm blaming Deadpool. Deadpool's fixing it with a bunch of Wolverines.
Going back in time and changing the timelines. Yeah.
There you go.
Hey, John, I got two more questions for you. One of them I really wanted to
Sure.
ask you because you were the one that started the Bigfoot page, right? The Cache Valley Bigfoot.
Yeah.
Um, you got like 6.3 thousand followers on there, so it's like a huge page. Um, how many reports are you getting? Like, do you get reports from people on a constant basis, like that are seeing things out there in Cache Valley?
Yeah, it's pretty constant. Most of the people will post on my, on the comments,
Mhm.
about their experiences and stories and stuff like that. Um, I kind of did a rough survey last year of like 100 people. Out of 100 of them, 85 of them had some kind of encounter.
Wow.
So that's quite a bit.
It's a
Or
big number.
well, it's encounter or heard from a family member that had one. So 85 of the 100 people had someone had an encounter they knew or they had one themselves.
Wow.
Or they heard stories, scouts and everything, going to scout camp and all that stuff. Yeah, I mean it's not. I mean, but it's weird though. I think it skips a generation or two because I've talked to families
I think so.
who've had farms up in Cache Valley for 100 years that remember their grandparents talking about the hairy man. But for some reason they stopped talking about it like in the 40s and 50s.
Do you think it has something to do with migration? Do you think they migrate and move out of places and come back to those places later?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Logan Canyon is a big area where they migrate through from Idaho, because the upper part of the canyon is connected to Idaho, Utah, Wyoming, and Colorado. It all connects pretty much in a straight. I think there's a trail there. I'm not sure what the trail is called, but it goes all the way across to Colorado.
And that all those areas are hot spots. Like I hear stories from Meldrum's out in Idaho, and then you were talking about the Cascades and stuff, and there's the Cascade Lake or whatever it's called. There's a ton of stories that come out of that area too. And yeah, no, that makes sense. They move with the food, probably move with the food and whatever's the most prevalent as far as
My thought
calories.
is migration, but also like the generation skipping thing, like you're saying. I think like the older generation, the grandparents, if you will, of our generation, they didn't have a lot to hide. It was kind of like
Yeah.
at that point, it's like, all right, the silent generation or whatever they call them, but then baby boomers as well. But they just they had enough to worry about. So why not? Like it's okay to say something about something, but now and then they raise their kids to be a lot more disciplined, and the discipline sort of backfired. I feel like to where the Generation X and that generation sort of rebelled, and then they sort of went freebird, and they probably just didn't. Maybe it's something to do with the way the media tells people what to believe in a lot of ways,
Mhm.
because that was the era of news. Like that was a huge era for news. Was the
Yeah.
Generation X, Now we're like, no, we want to know the truth again. Now we're like shutting the news out. We're ready to. It's like it's free world everything
It's all
again.
fake.
You know.
Let's just figure it out.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
all fake news.
Yeah,
according
I
to
think it's
some.
people's minds, man. I think we're just, and also the migration, though. I think that's a big part of it too. But it's really, really cool to think
Yeah,
about.
I mean, I talked to a family. I talked to this lady who grew up in this one area, and yeah, she remembers as a kid, like in the '60s, her grandpa coming in one day and said, "Oh, the hairy man's back," just like it was normal.
It's like way chill.
Yeah, it's just normal to see him. So I'm like, it's just crazy how how as you're saying, how I grew up, we didn't hear about Bigfoot. I didn't know what it was,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but back then, I guess it was pretty normal to see one hanging around.
And now it's getting more normalized again. You know,
Yeah,
we're not such weirdos anymore. You know, we're a lot of people are starting to be like I talk to so many people and they're like, oh, you do a supernatural podcast? That's so cool. And they'll ask
yeah.
me all these questions about it. But back then, like in your generation or before you a little bit, they wouldn't talk about that. It was always like very mum, like don't talk about supernatural stuff or this.
No, I mean,
You know.
I found friends from high school who talk to me now about all their stuff they've experienced growing up. I'm like, why didn't you tell me this when you were in high school, man?
Because it wasn't cool yet to do that.
Yeah, like it wasn't cool. Like, yeah, I mean, I have so many people who I've known my whole life who finally are telling me stuff.
That's cool. That's awesome.
Yeah,
It's like
it's
age of
crazy.
information, you know.
Well, and that's what I was gonna say about. I mean, that's part of the reason we do our show is to try to get people to feel comfortable to come on and also hear like your stories and hear other people's stories and make them get that confidence so that they feel like they're not the weirdo, because I think sometimes people isolate themselves because they're like, oh man, I don't know what that was, but if I tell anyone, they're gonna think I'm nuts. But
Yep.
that's what's cool right now is like there's all these shows, all these people are coming forward, and so it is cool to have these havens and like your Facebook page. That's what I was going to compliment you on. Is it's cool that everyone can go on there and just be honest about what they're seeing and what's going on with their with their sightings.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoy the page. I really do. I need to post more on there. I've been kind of lackadaisical lately because I've been so busy at work. But I get mad at the people that come on and just bash people.
The
That just
trolls,
irritates
yeah,
me.
the trolls, yeah.
Irritating.
I just don't understand it. And I'm sorry they haven't had an experience and they'll never believe if they don't have one. And
Yeah,
they've hunted for 40 years, never had an experience.
That's
You
why
weren't there.
that's why Wes with Sasquatch Chronicles is always like, man, the Bigfoot community as a whole is just so toxic. He's like, I
Oh
try to
yeah,
stay out of it. And
why
stuff
do they
'cause
even follow these pages if they don't believe in it? You know what I mean?
exactly. I
It's like
mean, I'm okay if they do, but I also want them to just because you weren't there to experience it doesn't mean it didn't happen. You
exactly
know,
right.
you know, I'm sure I've been told lies by people, or stories.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
I wasn't alive for the MLK shooting or the JFK shooting.
Yeah,
I know it
yeah,
happened. You know what I mean?
hmm
And a lot
yeah.
of
I
people
mean,
saw it.
so I mean, I'm sure I'm positive, like as you guys know, like in any paranormal stuff, like Bigfoot, UFO, and everything, there are trolls everywhere
yeah,
and naysayers and people who want to come in there and say this and you know try to I mean they've tried to prove what Bob Bob Lazar wrong for how many years. It's
right.
turned out it's true.
And he's all, yeah, he's so, and we always meet. I'm gonna toot my own horn and say I always believed him, so that's cool,
Same.
but
Yeah,
no, it's you just got to tune those guys out, I guess, and that's what I've realized works really good is just to ignore what they say, and then they're like, hold on a sec, no one's responding to what I'm saying, and
Yeah.
sometimes that works, but
yeah,
I think that's cool, and I guess the last thing I wanted to bring, kind of go into is, I guess, let you have a platform to talk about your books and tell people where they can find them. I found them on Amazon, so if that's the best place to go,
yeah.
that's
Amazon right now. I do have a few. I think that are still left at the Cache Valley at the Visitor Center. It's downtown Logan, and I have some at the book table, but they're sold out right now. I'm currently on book number 3. It will be out, I'm hoping, within the next month. I kind of was good. I was hoping to have it out before Halloween, but things just fell through. I actually lost half of it. I had a computer crash,
Oh no,
and I couldn't find it on my cloud or anything. So
that's horrible.
had to go and restart everything. And I actually I think it was more of a blessing because I got more into it, added more things to it.
Yeah,
So that will be out hopefully by the end of the month, maybe in February for sure. But that'll be book number 3. That'll be coming out. Yeah.
Can you
I'm gonna
give us the
go ahead.
title of each book, and then are they all nonfiction, right? They're all accounts and
Yep,
stuff.
they're all accounts from people that have sent in stories, and so and I don't change anything. I've had some of my stories changed in books that I've submitted. They've added details I don't add. They've added other things, and I just don't like that.
Yeah.
And so I I I put them down as they wrote it. So I mean, the grammar sometimes sucks. I try to change the grammar sometimes, in punctuation, but sometimes, I write how I talk, and that's how most people are. And so that's how I leave it.
Yeah. What are the titles again? I know we know it, but if you want to get those out there.
One of them, so book number 2 is Cache Valley Bigfoot. Sometimes the shadows do move in the woods. And book number 1, I can't remember off the top of my head.
It's called
It's the
Cache Valley Bigfoot Field Guide and Stories about Bigfoot in Cache Valley.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Book number 3, I don't have it titled yet. It'll be Cache Valley Bigfoot something.
Cache Valley Bigfoot Alien Connection. Oh my god.
Yes, I could do that.
I'm just
Yeah.
kidding. No,
I
but
got some good stories though. Yeah, I got some good stories in this one. I got some good stories from people. I mean, there's some good ones.
cool. Well, I'm definitely gonna buy those because I like reading stories, and
I
sometimes you just
appreciate
can't
it.
find enough online. So I'll get me a
I mean, they
copy.
almost got 5 stars on Amazon, both of them. So congrats on that, man, and just getting the truth out there. People, this is why we do our podcast. It's not just because we love the subject and because we've had experiences. It's because people need this platform, and if you're getting that out there too in a really broad scale that everyone reads. It's still a thing. It's a bigger spectrum than a lot of things people think of. So, yeah, definitely get his books, guys, if you can. I mean, they look interesting as hell to me, so I'm excited.
Yeah, I think book number 3 is gonna be a lot better. Book number 1 was my first, and that's kind of, I was starting out. But book number 3, I'm real happy with. Like
Cool.
yeah, it'll be good.
Well, kudos to you.
Then
That's a big feat. My mom wrote 1 book and it was a lot of work. So 3 books
yeah,
is great.
Are you self-publishing and doing all that too?
yeah, I'm self-publishing.
Wow.
So I mean, I'll have some books for sale. I'll order some for me, and then I'll autograph them and stuff like that. And I also send little gifts with them. Each time I send something out, I send something extra, just in
If,
case.
if you think about it, hit me up when you're done with it, and I'll
Oh
buy
no,
it
for
from
sure.
you directly or
Oh
something.
no, yeah. But I'm making some shirts too. I got some shirts I'm gonna make. I do that every so often too. I'll put a package deal together with the shirts and the book.
I love it.
So
Do you
yeah.
would you be okay with some of our listeners if they wanted to contact you or reach you? Is that okay if they find you online, or do you have
Oh,
any?
for sure.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, anything. I'm looking for more stories too, like even outside, of Utah, anywhere. I have a friend, I think you probably know him or heard of him. You heard of John Olson?
Yes, I have.
Yeah, he does a Stranger Bridgeland
Yeah.
podcast
Oh
and
yeah.
books
Yeah.
and book series. I'm good friends with him. Yeah.
Cool. We might have to collab with him at some point. It'd be fun. But yeah, I
Yeah,
definitely
no, he would be good on your show. Yeah, he'd be good.
and I appreciate you coming on, man. I know we've kind of cut into like an hour and a half now, so thank you for taking that time.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're a trove of information. We could literally go another 30, 40 minutes and still
Oh,
keep
I love talking about all sorts of stuff.
Yeah,
So
I mean, we might have to get you back on too. As we continue to grow and stuff, it'd be fun to get you back, and maybe after your book comes out or something, we can get you back on.
yeah, that'd be great. Just
But
don't do flat Earth.
yeah, all right, no flat Earth. That's
No, do not go down that rabbit hole. I've done it.
Oh yeah, no, we've kind of done it too. We've already kind of
Have
started.
you?
I still see like at the ocean, you see the break. So I don't know. I
Oh,
definitely feel like it's round. It's definitely round. You know what I
that
mean?
rabbit hole though, man. I mean,
Yeah, it's
It'll
tough.
take
it gets to a point where you're like, is this what the hell, man?
Yeah,
Like, I'm almost believing it. Almost believing it.
same. We're always so
Same,
close. We're
same.
literally so because there's a lot of good like where the Antarctics and the North Pole, how they're like those ends, and you could like the
can't go
military
there.
helicopter gets close to it and they see that end and it's like, no, there's no way.
The
Is
ice
that
shelf.
is that
yeah.
for real? Is there really an ice shelf? Like, and it's again like
Yeah.
you said with Hollywood where they give us 20% truth. Like the Game of Thrones, right? There's the ice shelf right there. It's like, is that
Yeah.
true? Is
Oh,
that
I don't know. I mean, that treaty and everything that happened, and
Right.
the military going down there. I
Yeah.
don't know.
I'm gonna have to become Jon Snow for real. I've been called Jon Snow a couple times, so hey, we'll see what happens.
That's great.
Well, hey, John, it was a huge pleasure having you. We're sorry we
Yeah, I
took so
appreciate.
much time. Hopefully, it was okay for you. And
No, yeah,
yeah, it was a huge pleasure. So thank you so much.
yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
All right, man. We'll have a good night, and we'll let you know when it's ready when we post it, so you can listen to it if you feel like inclined to.
Yeah, oh, for sure. I'll share it too. Yeah, for sure.
Cool.
Thanks, man. Awesome.
All right, guys. Have a good night.
Good night, John.
You
We'll
too.
see you,
Thank
man.
you.
Good
Okay.
to see you.
Yep.
Stay spooky.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. See ya.
See ya.